Okay, a few more updates that I've had since the last video. Or audio, whatever. Things that I wanted to kind of just, talk about, and then we'll see what we can do with them. Maybe I should put some music on like usual. Oh, feels fucking shitty. Classic. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. uh, anyway, oh, cool. Yeah. You fuck face. Go back to the Russian music. Um. Okay, so the few things that I thought of, I guess. Let me turn this down. This is a bit loud. It's just me by myself talking. I was listening to shit. I don't remember. I think the one called The Update. No, that wasn't that. It was the one where I was talking about Cypress and his character and all that. And I thought, okay, I said, could Cypress in any way be a prophet? Is this possible? Very interesting. We could explain, like, it's almost like, yeah, I was talking about Cypress's backstory, so I was like trying to rethink his, kind of like retell his quote origin story, and that's why I thought, well, the training of Judan or his son. So, but I know he's a Trovian, so is there a possible way I can make this happen? And I put in the back of my head, I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know that could be so, but I'll let it be for a while. And then I kept listening, and I was like, wait a minute, what about befriending Martis? Like, because remember, the Freydin, I guess the Freydin, he is in this kind of, I guess, compound. I don't really know what it's called. This palace, along with the others of the Dean house. So Martis would be around every once in a while when Freydin was around, or Martis's people working with Judan and Venick. So, like, is there a possibility that maybe that's how Cypress was turned on to this? Because, let me see if I can find it. Where did I write that part? The Valanders used by the Adine to aid their mages has become time-honored tradition. It was established in good faith, but when the Valanders were called to the Slop King, an event happened that shook the faith. Upon their return, I think a few of them went when the Slop King called. I don't think they all did. I think this was like a trigger in their minds. They became like sleeper cells. And that way we could have Cypress befriend a prophet, and then he's taught things, stuff Atrovians would never know. In Spirit first, he learned how to aid Venick, like here's how to calm him and all that stuff. Because like I said, they were doing a positive thing. They were not told that they're being part of this game. They're being played by the Slop King, their own creator. They don't know that. So when you have, I guess, them just in a drana, doing what they're supposed to be doing, no clue as to what's really going on and why things are happening and stuff like that. Let's see if I can try to imagine how the clones in Star Wars, that they're cool, all of a sudden they just turn on you like nothing. Like, that's kind of how I imagined it. And so it's kind of a tragic for them because, they didn't plan any of this. This is not what their intention was and what they were trying to do, but this is just kind of what happened. So, again, it's another case of Cyphers. He knows a lot of things because, goddamn, you think about it, he was trained. If I can find a way to wrap this up pretty well, he was shown lore information by the prophets. He was shown information from the Forgotten King and the Snake in the Portal by Judan. He was shown great, deep, fucking philosophical, spiritual fucking shit by the Serpentine Order and all that. Like, this is a very worldly person, but he's involved in all these things. So it explains why his character is so just knowledgeable. Like, he just fucking knows this. And he's just like, oh, yes, that's this, that's that. I think the problem I had with Cypress and the reason I was trying to come up with this stuff is like, well, he's also got to be like reserved. He also has to be kind of pulling back. He's not going to tell Eris certain things because he's just like, he doesn't want to give him too much information. He doesn't want to form a bond with him. There's a lot of different things going on there. But I guess in some ways, in the back of my mind, was making him more knowledgeable because he's a tool that needs to be more knowledgeable. Then, what else do I have? In time, they were awakened by the Slop King. This is when the downfall happens. Hold on. Yeah, I think Martis was the only the Valander who knew. Hold on, let me yawn, because God knows I need yawn. He's the only one that knew what was really going on, but he kept it to himself because he was working side by side with the Slop King. I think we're getting to the point where we need to have terms, like, I don't know, like he's a thrall to the Slop King, shit like that. We need terms to keep this shit straight. Because, there are times where I listen back and then I don't have a defined term to something, but if I did, it would help. Just people like locking their mind. Oh, okay. Like, I get you. So for right now, we'll use the code term. I don't know what to call it code term, but like the because that's the problem with me. I have a hard time doing things like this. We will give him the name the Thrall right now. He is the Thrall to the Slop King. Yeah. Which I forget his name now. Ike Beovas or something. Okay. The next thing that I have on here says, also, the Men of Stone and the 464 scene are connected. Perhaps he heard a rumor about what happened to those used by the Serpentine, something that is not known outside of the Secret Order, working in Symphony Citadel. Hearing Naked mention a Man of Stone was all he needed to hear. This person who told him, who aided Quinlan as well, who has done many things behind the scenes. I think maybe a keeper, a shapeshifter keeper, from beyond the other realm, beyond the circle. Yes, a keeper's involved, and he's making these things happen. Because the idea is, the keepers work in the sense of duality. They work in a sense of like, good and bad have to exist. You have to toe into the bad, sometimes, and you have to go into the good, It's just duality. They kind of exist in that way where it's not like necessarily a philosophy. It is just fucking known. It is a fact. This is a fact. So, the way the keeper will go about his actions is definitely very foggy. He's definitely he's intervening in things and putting himself in situations that would deem him like, is this a bad guy and all that? Once again, another character who does not, how do I word this? It is very confusing so far in this book to say who's good and who's bad, because I could make an argument to everybody that they're all good characters, that they're all doing the right thing. What Cyrus is doing is irredeemably wicked, right? But at the same time, the vengeance in his heart and the aching for his son's life, he's not doing that for a bad reason. There is no evil behind trying to save someone you love, especially when you think there's a chance that they might make it. You know what I mean? How could that be evil? The evil is not within the concept. It's not within the, what's the word? I don't know. It's not in his head. It's in the things that he does. But again, that goes back to the philosophy that you are what you do. So he has to understand that. When it comes to Martis, Martis is doing what his God is telling him to do. In what world is that evil? In the world where someone doesn't believe in that God, that is not their God. Do you know what I mean? So his wickedness and his evil is only within the mindset of another. It has nothing to do with his own concept of good and bad. Let's say any of the Anaku in the Serpentine Order. How are they doing anything bad if all they want to do is not vanish from the world? Because that ability to stay in this world, that granted gift from the gods, was taken away by a false god. And now his people have been blessed with this blessing. How is it that them correcting this shift, making it actually go back to the way it was before this false god came, how are they doing anything evil in any way? Where's the witness in that? And that's exactly what the keepers play into as well. As what they're doing is they're lending aid to a realm that is not even attached to theirs and possibly might not have any ramifications in their world. How is that a bad thing? How is that dark? How is that wicked? And you could go vice versa. How is any of that good? Because the grand concept that I play in my mind, the philosophy of my life that goes into this book is, does it fucking matter? Does any of what's going on even fucking matter? It could be very complex and very, what's the word? Just shit matters. You know, there could be prophecies, there could be explanations, and like, oh my God, we've been doing this for thousands of years, mankind has. But then at the end of the day, why does it fucking matter? Why do we let these things matter? What kind of fucking person wants to live this kind of life in this world? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to say, because I don't know, like people tend to think that just because you're in this realm, just because you're in this world, that this is it, man, everything fucking here matters. This all matters right now. Everything here, like there's a reason, we got to protect this, we got to do this, we got to do that. We got to take these bad people and do that to them and whatever that lie you tell yourself. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, why does all that matter? Because we're here and it's to be good and it's to do good for good sake and whatever way people try to justify their lives. I can't help but think, why? What's the purpose behind that? What's making you do this? What makes you think you are right? That arrogance is what irritates the fuck out of me. So definitely the what's it called? Undertone? The undertone of this book, as it goes on, will be more of a why does it all matter kind of thing. And I'm not trying to say, what is that called? It's not, is it pessimistic / I don't remember. It kind of reminds me of, what was that one detective show with that Matthew McConaughey in it? where he was extremely pessimistic and all that stuff. Whatever that show was called. It's kind of like that, but the idea is I don't have a set goal that I want to stay this pessimistic and kind of I forgot the other term that you use. It's not moral. I don't remember. Basically looking at the darker side and lighter side and saying fuck it. Now that's not the main goal of it. The main goal is to explore finding purpose within it. This is a search for purpose, essentially, from a person that finds none or believes in none, who doesn't have any faith in humanity, but really wants to try, is he wants to. I mean, I wouldn't even say no faith in humanity. I would say no faith in the world and in the way, the universe. I have no faith in any of it. I don't care. It's well, I love animals, but I don't like people. Like, no, I don't even like that. Like, nothing. Fuck it all. Like, that kind of stuff. Science and nothing. All of it, I don't trust. I don't get, and it's just, why are we doing this? So, it's an exploration of faith and purpose and stuff. The usual thing. Just done through a fucking novel. But I've always, I wouldn't say loathed it, but I've never really been a huge fan of good versus evil. The dark versus the light. I mean, obviously it's very simplistic view to do it, but at the same time there's nothing wrong with it, because at times it could feel that way. Especially if you let yourself go that way. So, like, if I were to watch Star Wars, I was much more interested in the middle. I was much more interested in not the Jedi or the Sith, but the guys that were, what do they call them, gray Jedi or some shit, or they call them, like, I love that scene where Palpatine was talking to Anakin at the opera. That's the kind of shit that gets me, But to be evil and to be wicked for what? Like, that's the problem that I have. Like, not one person's like just going to be evil for evil's sake. That's not how that works. Every person that's evil is only evil by someone else's fucking standard. And the reason that they're considered evil is because they're dead. They weren't evil when they were fucking doing it. Like right in the heart of it. Unless it was from some outside force. Again, it's all about fucking your mind. It's all about how you perceive the world. And the idea that the darkness is enveloping everything in this book is the point. That's why everything's so fucking gray. It's like, who's good and who's bad? Is the fucking whisper bad? Like, how many times have I talked about the whisper being this, like, virus that's literally just doing all it can do? It's doing the only thing that it knows how to do. It's living. It's moving. It's breeding. It's living its life cycle. It just so happens to be something fucking evil to a lot of people. Just like when the fucking mosquito carries West Nile virus or whatever else they carry. Are they going around purposely saying, okay, infect these people with this so they can, no, they just have it, man, and then you just get it. That's the whisper. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to make sure I paint the whisper in such a way where I'm going to be cognizant of the way people view him. I'm going to be very honest about how they see the whisper as dark. Then this person sees the whisper as a savior, like, I'll be aware of that. That's not going to be an issue. But if anything, the Forgotten King comes across as more wicked than the Whisper does. But the Whisper is actually, in fact, a what is he? He's like I wouldn't say a malevolent force. I would say, he is literally just an emotion played out into the world. And as the forgotten king, is a living being that has a mind of his own and is stuck in the realm of creation. So he's slowly falling into... You basically took your mind at its source and have cut it from connection to another, from connection to this great grid that we all find ourselves on called consciousness. That schizophrenic mindset where you start to alienate yourself and isolate and move farther away. You start forming your own ideals and forming your own concepts and all that stuff. You make your own choices in there, how you view things, like you isolate. It's happening more and more now because of the internet. We think it's bringing us together, but it's really separating us. So when you do that, in the case of the Forgotten King, he's establishing a mind that is separate and crazed from the consciousness that's going on. So his true connection only lies now, instead of with all his people, it only lies with the walkers, the chosen walkers, the landstriders, in the monarchs. I got to get that a little clearer too. This is the difference between a walker and a monarch. His connection lies with them, and that's who he, I guess, views the world through, and that's where his consciousness affects. Now, it just so happens that his consciousness affecting the people of, like, let's say the monarchs, and only the monarchs, well, those fucking monarchs are the ones that are being groomed and led and basically shaping their consciousness for the people. So you see where there's a fucking problem. If you're taking a monarch and you're forming his consciousness to the effect of saying, we the people, I act through my people, you're having him do that so that he may speak through their minds and they speak through his. But then at the same time, he's a conduit for a schizophrenic king. So there's issues there. Now, why this is done it's ridiculous, but it's one of those things. Maybe they don't know. Maybe there's issues there. There's something. Does it have to do with the Valanders and their tricking? Does it have to do with Martis? I don't know, because the prophet thing like this must have been going on for at least... What is it? That fucking folder's gone. I think at least like 300 years, 400 years. Is Martis that old? He could very well be that old. So that's definitely some things to think about when it comes to that side of the story, and truly trying to grasp the philosophy of everything happening. What is this? That's something that I need to kind of keep awareness towards, because it's easy to like know this now, and then I'm writing and then I just, you never mentioned it, dipshit, and I got to rewrite it. I think I've done that a lot, and I got to make sure I don't do that anymore. That's one thing that it plays a very important role, the psychology of these people, their understanding of the world around them, and how much care they have in their hearts. You have to look at it individually, almost like come up with a method to put them on a scale. You know what I mean? What is that thing that they do nowadays where there's like some sort of like box, and then leftism and rightism and political scale thing, and where do you fall and all that, right? The stupid shit like that. Well, it's just, I have to kind of perhaps do something like that when it comes to morality. Isn't it funny how we don't do that? But we do political scenarios that don't really fucking matter. It's kind of interesting. It's almost as if we're doing the wrong shit. I mean, I hate to do it, but in some ways in my mind, I'm like, well, these people aren't real. So, I don't really hold any I'm putting them all in a box. Well, you're making a story. But there's also that part of me that's like, well, why don't I let the concept of my mind grow naturally as people do? Don't put these people in boxes. Have them react the way you're reacting in that moment. Something like that. We'll see. It's about keeping the story authentic and keeping it, oh my God, keeping it real. Holy shit, dude. That's all I'm planning to do. Just gonna keep it natural. We're just gonna kind of go, because I don't think I have the ability to fucking make a scale. How do you sit on the morality scale? Stupid shit like that. Moving on to the next topic that I came up with listening was, I don't even know if I just read this or not. I might have already read this. Yes, I did. The Shapeshifter Keeper. Thank God. I was going to sound so stupid. Also, the Men of Stone and 464 scene are connected. What did I mean by that? Perhaps you heard a rumor about what happened to those used by the Serpentine. What is the connection that I came up with in my head and I forgot to write down? How are the Men of Stone connected to Hill 464? Is it that thing that I said? Okay, was it something like experimentation and cause and effect? And did I talk about that in the last one with the Men of Stone? I think I did. To say maybe how they turn to stone. I don't remember. Fucking A. I'll have to move on from that because I don't remember. And then this is to kind of liven up the concept when it's and they're in Albadan, Cyphers and what's his face? I always forget his name. Judan. In Albadan, the traces. I don't even know if that says trapped king. Oh, trapped. The trapped king inside the barrier can be felt. It's like looking at it's like looking at a caged lion. Do not provoke him, or else his wrath can be found. No matter if you are a man or not, the images were warned of. Beware the song, for that is how he finds you. This is why the soul singers are brought to keep the Adine safe. That is kind of just for myself. Keep this in mind. He's kind of like this caged beast stuck in a cage, but essentially he is in these shards, these massive stone, and you can kind of sense his presence, and you can't see him, but you can kind of sense the screaming man, the crying and ranting and raving madman stuck in another dimension. You can feel that presence. So that was kind of cool. That's just like a concept. Keep that in mind. Keep that in your head. And then the last one is, it's the images who see outside the barrier, how I imagine the book. The dreamscape that holds no consistency to real life. Okay. It's the mages who see outside the barrier, how I imagine the book. The dreamscape that holds no consistency to real life. They can see the, quote, bowl in Albadan. The horizon swelling around them. It's basically like the mages can see the way I'm viewing it, is all I'm saying. So whenever I think of Albadan, I think of when you're fucking extremely stoned and you look at this image of a massive world, you're the nestle at the bottom of a valley, and you look up, and on both sides the land just goes straight up, and everything looks like it's if there's a volume for height and size, it's turned all the way the fuck up, kind of how Skyrim feels in a way, where if you really think about it, when you play Skyrim, when you did, it kind of seemed like everything was turned up in size, just make everything bigger, even though it's not. make it look bigger. It's kind of like that, where I think the mountains are extra large up there, the hills are extra large, the rivers are wider, everything's taller, everything's bigger up there. It's as if you're just in a distorted reality, and that's what I was saying, the bowl, where you just look out and the horizon's like above you. It seems like, and even though it's not, it's like an optical illusion. You're looking up and you see the fucking horizon. Like, shouldn't that be the sky? Like, fuck. Just like gnarly shit like that. That's kind of how I imagine Albadan. And the song that I imagine playing is the song I wrote called Transcend. That's the kind of music that goes right along with it. And then I think the last thing I see on here is in the scene with Cyprus and his son being taken. Only the monarchs could see what was happening, but perhaps Cyprus was touched in this moment. This could be why he has the power himself, like he was cursed in that moment. Like Cyprus somehow became cursed. I don't know. I think that's what I was trying to say. I think, yeah, that was on the 30th. That was yesterday, wasn't it? That's the last of the new ideas that I had as I was listening to the video. I wish I could remember the Men of Stone part. That one's the one that bothers me the most. Like, what did you mean by that? Like, they're connected to 464. Yeah, no shit. But, like, why? And how? I said in the last video, but that's the one that always bothers me. Is the Men of Stone. Because this is like, it's how my mind works. I have to know exactly how things happen. What created the situation. Why is it happening? Scientifically, what is it? Like, the thing that I talk about, that I do this for, I get really in depth about things that are so distant. But when it comes to the actual story, I don't think at all. I just act. I just go. That part's fine. It's just having this background, this solid ground for my story to tread on. That's what I take so much care into it. And so when it comes to the Men of Stone, it really bothers me not knowing exactly what's going on. What connection did I make from them to 464? So I said Symphony Citadel. There's a connection with the Men of Stone because perhaps this is an experimentation. I remember saying something about perhaps men and May can't mix, and there's some sort of negative reaction to it. Maybe this is a heightened version of it, mixing men and May that are conduits. Maybe mixing a mage May and a mage man. This happens, some sort of, like, I would say chemical reaction, but magical reaction. And then they fucked with it in such a way that they've turned them into stone. Now, the outcast ones could have been the Huddle Massive Stone. It's like a field of Men of Stone that can't move. These failed experiments outside 464. That would be interesting to say that's going on. When it comes to the other ones, maybe they finally kind of figured out in a way. Then the connection that I said from Quinlan and his chosen few, like the one that's in in the south now, maybe those are the ones that were helped by, I remember now, the Cult of Thessaria person. This fucking person. Whoever helped from the Cult of Thessaria to get Nakim out and gave him and his followers this mask has some sort of fucking purpose. Is doing this. Like, who is this Cult of Thessaria person and what is their fucking game? Is that the Keeper? Or is it someone who is in the shadows playing the biggest game that there ever was? Are they controlling the world, essentially? That's got to be something I got to figure out. Because I don't know. I'll have to think of it. That's something that's got to be thought about. I got to present that to Jacob. If he's listening. I hope he's listening. That one, and what is the other one that I was... A connection between the bloodletting thing. That could be just like a process through time. And then the pendant. I mean, why don't you just connect the pendant and say, just because the thing is, like, when I hear, well, the pendant's just a pendant and it's going to the Forgotten King, like, and all that shit. Well, I don't like it. Why don't you just remake what it does? Be a person and use your mind a little bit differently. So the pendant could be part of the process that this is going on. Just explain it more. Just say the pendant was like, when they were trying to experiment in these people, they used the pendant to do the binding. And then the binding of these two, Man and May, allowed them to access the other realm. To live. Because, yes, that's right. They were looking for longevity of life. So they're trying to mix or take something, extract something from men and put it in the Anaku. And so there's the experimentation of the drained men and putting into the Anaku. And maybe that's why they turned to stone. There's something in the blood that will not allow it to happen. Some sort of magical barrier kind of thing going on. That could be it. I can see the dark side of all that. You can see, these men being captured, these monarchs. And then you see these Anaku kind of being, what would I say, inoculated? Is that what that's called? You give someone a shot. And then, but it's causing bad effects and they're testing on them. And this place is this scientific fucking disgusting place where they're testing on people, in this very perverse way, like we do in real life, for some sort of fucking outcome. And it just so happens that they're trying to do it to not fucking, vanish from the world. So again, this goes back to the morality of it. Is what they're doing evil? Right now, there's the virus going on, and they were testing shots on people. Is that evil? Knowing that the shots won't work or might not work, or not knowing if, what's going to happen. Well, you're trying to save mankind from what? What are you trying to save us from? Or are you not? It's like shit like that can play into it. That fear that you have, like when it comes to those shots, I don't know if I want to take them. I don't know. I don't trust that shit. Well, you took a polio shot. You took this and that. Like, I didn't on purpose. That was forced on me, like, against my will. Dumb fuck. I don't know. But yeah, see what I'm saying? You could find a darker side to anything. So I would say with the I always want to say Fachu. It's not them anymore. The Serpentine Order are doing is they're experimenting how to not fucking die. How to not fade from the world. And then there's also the side of them that are trying to get back into the circle. There's different things that they're doing down there. Many different things. And that's kind of, that whole place is just this laboratory of thoughts and incursions into the unmoral and shit, man. Just a lot of things going on over there. I suppose I haven't got the mail in like maybe a month. Fuck. Shit, I gotta get the mail. Anyway, so I don't know. It's something I gotta start thinking about a little bit more. As if I don't have enough to think about. My next episode was like 2 episodes ago. Supposed to be the Valens. What's going on with the Valens? I don't know. They're there and shit's happening. And then Quinlan, that one's connected to that. I mean, it kind of did that in a way, and not really. He just started, just jumped to it at least. Oh Christ, dude. I don't know. Definitely stuff that's stuff that's got to be thought about. I think they're very important, especially when it comes to the Men of Stone and Symphony Citadel and what's going on there. We got to kind of discover that stuff. And then, yeah, I think it would be good to have a little more in-depth understanding of the Valen folk as they appear. We know a lot about Martis, but it's like one of those consolidate episodes, which is consolidate everything you know about Martis. Consolidate everything you know about the Valanders now, and get down to you can make an episode of Before I Write kind of thing. Would be a new segment. Before I write, understand this, and then it'll be about that stuff there. I think what set all this off, and has actually really improved it, is me being lost about the news that Cyprus received from NACOM about 464. That's what caused this entire fucking landslide to happen. It made me rethink everything, and it just threw me off so hard that I couldn't write until I figured it out. And now, I mean, look how much good it's done. It's fleshed out more. The Valanders, it's a lot more. It's fleshed out Martis a bit more as a character. It's fleshed out the idea of the Men of Stone and Quartus, the whole purpose behind it. So it's playing a part. It's doing its role. These episodes are not a curse. This is not a mental fucking breakdown and you get to hear. It's a thinking session. You're making something, you got to sit down, you got to think about it. Well, I'm thinking out loud into a microphone. That's really what it is. Trying to find that thing, whatever that thing is. I don't know, but when I do find it, man, that's it. Found with words. That search for the grail, right? I don't know. It's positive. Again, it's just another positive affirmation that I needed. Because for a little bit there, I was going kind of crazy. Just thinking about all this shit and just the doubt. The doubt that I would just have about just pausing me every moment. And that's one thing I got to learn to do a little bit better. You just don't doubt yourself as much. Just trust yourself and just get going. Yawn every 15 minutes, that kind of thing. Yeah, actually, it's less than that. I feel like I'm yawning every couple minutes. Should I take some allergy medicine? I'll go do that real quick. Feel quick. Ugh. Yeah, friend. We're doing it. We're getting it done. And you get to capture your fucking anxiety and fit camera or video, whatever. That's kind of cool. Giving yourself stomach ulcers and shit. Anyway, I don't know. Honestly, I think that's it. I think I said what I needed to say. Pretty Tchaikovsky? Huh. Yes, I think that's all I really need to say. I think I'm done. One more question raised. Do I have a question from this episode? I probably did. I asked him. I don't remember what I said, though. Whatever I said, that. Let's find those things out. Let's take a deeper dive into the Symphony Citadel. Man, he died like a year before this came out. Can you imagine that? That's terrifying. Well, that's art, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He was only 50. He looks 90. Christ. Man, it's like these artists do. They're just like, they look so fucking old. And they're just like decrepit and shit. Like, how old are you? Like, 48. Holy shit, dude. You look like 79. If you think too much and you're an artsy person and try to change the world, then you fucking go quick. It's the motherfuckers that live a long time. They're like, I don't let things bother me. You know, the real wisdom is not doing anything. Anyway, I think that's it. I don't want to get too weird. So yeah, I'm gonna end this one and another one in the book. Let's think about Symphony's Citadel. Let's connect those fucking Men of Stone. Let's do those Valanders. Come on. We got to do the Valanders. This time you literally got to do it. You've talked about doing it for like a few episodes now. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, alrighty then. Until next time.